Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into a quick but powerful mixing technique, parallel busing with compression, specifically for guitars and drums. This video was requested by @DavidB.Gaskin. I did a video a little while back about parallel busing, and David asked if I can go on more in depth and show more of my compression settings. So thanks for the idea, David. Let's dive in. Okay, so this is the same song that I did the other video on parallel busing, and let's take a listen. Okay, so you get the idea. Here is my drum busing. What we have going on here is we have all these drums being bussed over to these two right here. So the kick, the snare, normally I got like these kicks going to this channel. So both these kicks are going here, and both of these snares are going here. And then the floor toms, overheads, room mics, they're all going here. So if you look at the outputs, you'll see drums, 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 and then these say output 1 and 2, which are going to my main output, basically the mix bus, because they're not being affected by any of this here. And I do that sometimes. Sometimes I will put the room mics and the overheads with the drum buses. Other times I'll leave them alone and just do whatever I do on the individual channels. And from there I will basically use these two for the main drum elements, kick, snare, tom-toms, things like that. And then this is the exact same thing. If you notice, they say drums, drums. So both of these buses are named the same, and you might say, well, why do you do that? Well, let me tell you why I do that. I do that because I want one unaffected, and then I want one affected. Therefore, there's my parallel setup here. So when I do this, I can have a volume for either one. Okay, so let's just hear the drums. Let's go to my drum bus. So it should be these two here, so let's take a listen. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dry. I call it dry, which in my mind, that just means unaffected. That's just what I name it. You can name it whatever you want. So this one essentially is all of these things that I'm sending to this bus, which in this case is the kick drum. First, I take these two and I blend them down to one. And I do the same with the snare, snare top, snare bottom, and it goes to the snare bus. And then from there, these outputs, snare output here, drums, kick output here, drums, and the tom-toms, floor tom 1, floor tom 2, tom 1. So there's 3 toms. They are going to the output to drums, and the overheads are not. They're going to the mix bus. So they're being not affected by this drum bus. And room mic is the same, it's not going to this drum bus. So anything that says drums is going here. Drums and drums. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the drums now and watch these buses here, these green ones. This one here says comp is compressor, which it has here. And this one here, it says dry, is without compression. It's just a volume. And by doing this, you have the control of the compressor and the control of just the drums unaffected. And let me play a little so you can hear. And And here we'll do the same thing. This time we'll turn off the unaffected drum so you hear just the compression. And both of them together. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the compression setting. So on the drums, I have this LA3 compressor, and that's it on this whole thing. And I just dial that into my liking. So let's see what happens. Looks like the drums are basically getting about -5 here on the meter. That's about the most compression I see happening is -5. And what I do is I just turn these knobs till I like it. The peak reduction is how much compression I'm going to get. The gain is volume. So let's play with these knobs a little bit and see what we get. You can see when I turn up the gain on this compressor, all it's doing is turning up volume. It's not changing the compression, it's just volume. So it's making this louder. If you watch this, when I bring it back to where it was, you'll see. So as you can see, as I turn up the knob, the compression doesn't change. It's not getting more compression because this peak reduction is the one that's going to give me more compression or less compression. This is basically just turning up the volume. So now let's see what happens with the peak reduction. So for my ears, if you watched me turn the peak reduction knob, the more compression I got, the more the drum sounded more dead. And that's fine. If you want to blend that in, that could work. For me, I liked about kind of where it is now, which is just about 5 dB of compression, because it still gives it some dynamics. It gives it a neat sound. I like the sound of this compressor. And it still gives the drums life. That's why I choose it. Depends on the song and what you're doing and what you're going for, of course. Sometimes you can squash the heck out of this thing and blend it in, and it can give you a neat sound. Other times I don't hit it hardly at all. Sometimes I don't even touch the knobs. I might turn it on, go, I like that, and I leave it. So there's really no rhyme or reason. It's just what you're hearing, what you're going for, what style of music it is, and how you like things to sound. Let me put that back. So there's my settings. So as you can see, this is just a little past 5, and this is just a little before 5. And the reduction of this comes about -5. Okay, let's see what's going on with the guitars now. So as you can see with the guitars, there's 4 tracks, these blue ones here, 1, 2, 3, 4. These first 2 are my main guitar tracks, and they're hard pan left and right, and they are going out. As you notice here, it says 1 and 2, but if I click on it, you'll see it also has another path going to electric guitars. And what happens here is this signal is being sent to the main bus over here, right here, this red one. At the same time, they're being sent to this bus. So instead of the drums and using one for each, which I could have did, I just sent these via Pro Tools, giving them two different outputs. There's my output to the main, and there's my output to the bus. So it's essentially the same thing as the drums here, just done a different way. Instead of using this one to go to the main, I'm just sending it directly from the guitar track. That's really the only difference. And you can see here in Pro Tools, it's telling me I did that. Half is purple and half is gray, indicating it's going to two different places. Okay, so now you can see that the second half is electric guitar, which this input on this bus is electric guitar. The only other thing going on this bus is there's a little low end cutoff on the guitars on the bus, but it's not being cut off on the main. So there's a little something that I'm doing different with that. And as you can guess it, the same compressor. And I like this compressor a lot on guitars. And let's see what we got with the guitars. So let's turn the bus on and off so you can hear the guitars with the compression and without. As you can hear, it loses a lot without this compression. Let's see what this compression is actually doing. As you can see by the needle on the compressor, it's barely moving. It's more for a tone than it is for heavy compression. It's barely doing anything, but it's enough to give it a flavor and a sound, and that's what I like about it. Now let's turn the knobs and see if we can get a little more crazy with the compressor. If you notice, just like the drums, by turning up the gain, only turned this up. It didn't change the compression level. It didn't change the tone. It just turned up the volume. And as you can see, as I put it back, it goes right back to the level I had it. Now let's play with the gain reduction and see what happens with that. As you can hear, as I turn the compression up, and you see the meter go up quite a bit, the guitars get a little less dynamic. They get a little more squashed, and they lose some of their tone and get a little more muddy sounding. Let me put the compression back where it was and give you an A and B with this a lot of compression like it has now to where I had it, so you can hear the difference. And same thing like the guitars, I like to have a fader that I can control. So as you can see, the main guitars are louder than the bus compression. Let me turn that up and down so you can see what that does. And let's hear this with the band. Let's hear this with the guitars and the drums back, and then I'll turn the compression off on the drums, and then I'll turn the compression off with the guitars, and then I'll turn the guitars and the drums compression off. You'll see. Okay, so let me play this with turning the compressions on and off. I'll turn the drums compression off, I'll turn the guitars compression off, I'll turn the guitar and drum compression off, and we'll listen to see how that affects the mix. And that's it, quick and effective. Parallel compression can seriously elevate your mix. If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe for more tips. Let me know in the comments what techniques you want to cover next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. David, I hope this helped. If not, let me know.